Time, how quickly it passes. 17 years, how fast they have sped by. And yet, in God's time, these years which He has allotted for the Woods ministry here, He has made all things beautiful. In our seasons of celebration and stillness, joy and sadness, planting and harvest, God has been faithful to bring through the Wood family His Word, His comfort, His fellowship, and laughter.
There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under heaven. It goes on to list a whole lot of things, like a time to be born, a time to die. I'll add a verse today, an invented verse. There is a time to come and a time to leave.
Solomon, in his great wisdom, recognized that kingdom life is seasonal. Though this may be a time now of the Woods leaving us, God has called them to enter a new ministry. But before that happens, let's look back and remember some of the seasons of the Woods ministry to us these past 17 years.
One of the things many of us have enjoyed is watching Evangeline and George Paul grow up.
I live in a preacher's house. I'm quiet as a mouse. I just cannot carouse, 'cause I live in a preacher's house.
People expect a preacher to have
the wisdom of an owl,
the courage of a lion,
the strength of an ox,
the memory of an elephant,
the peacefulness of a dove,
and the appetite of a canary.
I live in a preacher's house. I'm quiet as a mouse. I just cannot carouse, 'cause I live in a preacher's house.
My father works on his offerings.
I've already pledged $5,693,000 to the building fund this year. And he rehearses his weddings.
The part I like best is the kiss.
He tries out his sermons.
I've been converted 643 times. And he practices his funerals.
I hate to lay down.
I live in a preacher's house. I'm quiet as a mouse. I just cannot carouse, 'cause I live in a preacher's house.
One night, a burglar broke into our home.
My father got up to investigate the noise.
The burglar said, "Stand back, preacher, I'm hunting for money."
My father said, "Wait a minute, let me turn on the light and I'll hunt with you."
Live in a preacher's house. Folks think I'm on the skids. Do you know why I'm so mean? It's 'cause I play with the deacon's kids.
From the moment they first arrived, we knew they wouldn't keep us bored. Being the preacher's kids didn't crimp their style at all, and their individual uniqueness always shined brightly, whether they were caring for their dog Boomer, appearing in church musicals, or counseling at kids' camp. Though George Paul spent some of his years behind an eye patch, Evangeline made up for it by keeping her eye on things, even when she was asleep.
And while they were growing, so were we. Even though our size reduced from 70 to 35 when Pastor Wood first came to the 15th Street Church, we hung on and soon began to go through cycles. We'd grow until we filled our services, then outgrow and add more services, then move to larger buildings. What a blessing it was when we of Glad Tidings joined together with the people of the First Assembly of God of Costa Mesa in 1975. We celebrated the merge as a marriage. And funny thing, several actual marriages did really occur because of the merge. We had our times of tearing down throughout these cycles. The excitement of moving to the 22nd Street location after the merger involved lots of work. We rolled up our sleeves to tear down the houses on the property so that we'd have more room to grow. Construction equipment was used again not too many years later to build our present sanctuary. Pastor Wood has never allowed us to become a stagnant people, and when the Holy Spirit has nudged us on, we've always been ready to follow. The major construction we undertook here on SCC campus pulled us together as a people in cooperation and sacrifice. A congregation that's moving in the Spirit can't be hindered by excess baggage. We've had to stop frequently and decide which things are valuable to keep and which to discard. Pastor Wood's teachings have always held high priority in our value system. But we can also remember moving from 22nd Street onto our present property and into the trailers. We had to part with much in order to move into the smaller facilities. But that's just part of being a people willing to change and grow.
No one can sit long under Pastor Wood's teaching and not know that his heart beats strongly for missions. From his early childhood experiences as a son of missionaries, Pastor Wood has strongly encouraged all of us to help spread the gospel throughout the world. Some of us have obeyed the call to support our missionaries through giving and prayer, while many others, from teenagers to adults, have personally gone to foreign fields. Few will ever forget when, time after time, before leaving for their distant destination, missionaries have gathered at the altar to receive our prayers and sing with us, "God be with you till we meet again." Catching Pastor Wood's excitement and vision in reaching the world has caused us to grow in the commission God has given each one of us. And even as we have sent missionaries out to serve, we have always been blessed as God has brought more new brothers and sisters into our fellowship. There's something special going on here, many would say after visiting a few times and feeling Christ's love surround them. And it isn't long before their commitment is made to join us in carrying out God's ministry here. It's always a joy to get to know people as they visit and then become a part of our church family. But what a special blessing to watch our children develop through childhood and into young adulthood. The Woods have taken seriously the church's ministry to our children. In one musical, we remember Pastor Wood dressed as Zechariah, singing his praises to God as he held baby John the Baptist. We've always felt a sense of God's purpose for each child dedicated through these past years. And to keep their care under close supervision, every detail has been carefully watched by Jewel in the ministry of the Early Childhood Center. She's even shown off her youngest charges in an annual baby walk. Usually only the very youngest participate, though occasionally an overgrown baby might steal the show.
For dying times, we've witnessed some ideas we thought were inspired by the Spirit die a very sudden death. We may never forget singing Christmas carols that were run across a silent radio screen. That lasted only one service.
At the offering time for the Christmas, old-fashioned Christmas, we displayed a red-lit board for words. And everybody was laughing as I made the presentation. I thought they were laughing with me. I found out later that you were laughing at me. If I had run that by committee, I would have probably avoided bringing it before you. As normally things are run by committee in this church. And, you know, not always do I get my way in those things.
Friends are friends forever, if the Lord's the Lord of them. And this friend will not say never, 'cause the welcome will not end.
Laughing and crying together are things a close family feels freedom to do. We have freely shed our tears when we've had to say goodbye for a season of time. We've been able to be honest enough to say to one another, we'll miss you and your fellowship.
No, my lifetime's not too long to be your friend. I love you, Scott and Leslie, and I miss you.
But our laughter, equally as honest, sometimes just cannot be contained. It's good that God allows us the opportunity to laugh at ourselves.
Wayne and I are here again to welcome all the visitors today, like we did last Sunday, except before Wayne gives the welcome, I wanted to give a testimony that the Lord called Wayne and I into the ministry rather than to be accountants. Because last year I said that Wayne was beginning his, 13th year of ministry, and neither Wayne nor
George,
what?
That was last week.
What did I say?
You said last year.
Last year. See?
No, last week.
Last week, okay. You said it. But Wayne and I both had a difficult time subtracting 1972 from 1983, which is 11. So as of this month, he's completing his 11th year, beginning his 12th. I didn't want anybody to think Wayne was a year older than his gray hair looked.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Platform this morning, Glenn is, and his wife Barbie are the new teachers for our new college class, premiering this Sunday. Glenn, give all the college students the word of welcome and invite them to your class.
Great. So glad to be offering this class for college and teenage and 20-year-old kids, students, young adults. This class is so exciting to me. It's
kids when you get my age. At your age, it's different.
We're not that far apart,
okay.
Just more apart. Sorry, George. Faster wood. I'm expecting a great time in this class.
Get wise up here, you can go sit down. I'll come back here.
He beat me in golf this week, though. I had to say something. First, I was embarrassed. Anyway.
Again, thank you. I have two prayer requests for the senior class. The first is for finances. Of course, college costs lots of money, especially in the 1980s, and not all of the money has been raised for college, and so there are among us people that don't have all the money for college. Are we going to take an offering for this?
Yes,
Actually,
he's learned he's going to be a pastor.
Yeah. Wayne Tesh put me up to make that comment, but other than that.
I'm coming to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the Lord God of Israel. Are you with me? Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, they're the only honest one in the church. Well, the one thing we can be sure of, he was listening, wasn't he? He knew when to say no. And you were listening when he said that anyway. I don't know whether you're listening ahead of that or not.
For 17 years, we've had the privilege of witnessing Pastor Wood's teaching ministry develop and grow from the small confines of our early congregation to what now encompasses many parts of the world. His pulpit ministry has provided us with a steady diet of God's Word and given us practical application by which to live. And it goes beyond our own congregation. In Asia, Africa, Europe, and South America, missionaries around the world receive his tapes and have grown through his teaching. But planting the Word is only the beginning of the harvest, and we've all had opportunities to rejoice as we've learned of the fruits of these efforts. Baptisms have been moments of quiet celebrations. Reports from missionaries have brought tremendous joys. We know that God's faithfulness to the planting of His Word by Pastor Wood and others will continue to bring a bountiful harvest.
There are times when teaching has ended and the music has faded that we have needed moments of quiet before God, times for communion, prayer, and seeking God. How vital these have been to us as individuals and as a congregation.
When God calls us to take a stand for righteousness, He also expects us to speak out. And we've had no lack of speaking out on issues, large and small, here at Newport Mesa Christian Center. We appreciate Pastor Wood's strong stand and wise biblical evaluation of issues facing us as Christians today.
Grief is no stranger to us as a church family. At times we've had to say goodbye temporarily to those who have gone into God's presence before us. People like Diana Bentlow, Mom and Dad Wood, Dwight Westover, Bob Sistig, and Aileen Sigler. People we dearly miss, but who now surround us in that great cloud of witnesses and encourage us to keep on keeping on. Our mourning is only temporary when we stop to remember them standing now in God's presence. God turns our mourning into dancing for us, and there are times when, bursting with joy, we simply need to express it. The children of Israel knew how to do that in their celebrations, and it seems that the children of Marketplace do too. Weddings, how many can be performed in 17 years? It would be fun to count. And yet, from Orly and Lenore Weaver, the first couple Pastor Wood married, through scores of couples since, weddings have been a highlight at Newport Mesa. Speaking of love, massive amounts go out in the Christmas Love Lift stockings organized by Dorcas Ministries and Christian Missionary Pilots each year. From the two Vietnamese families, sponsored and adopted by us in the 70s, to the multitude of children's outreaches, love has been a byword for us under the Woods Ministries.
Recalling moments of hate, that's quite difficult unless you reach way back in the recesses of your memory to recall this scene.
Kind of a show and tell time. I snuck this out of the house. I don't dare put it on, but this is my Monday morning coat. Because after a busy Sunday, sometimes I'm tired on Monday, and when you're tired, you can get a little bit down. And so when I just really need to feel good, I get on this coat. And I know that the church isn't going to see me up in the pulpit, and they expect, you know, the minister to dress like a minister and all that. But I just come to the office wearing this. Everybody on staff groans, but I feel good. I've had this coat for years. My wife, by the way, doesn't really like this coat. And I can't find the matching pants to it. I think she's hid them, so I won't wear it.
Few could refrain from embracing a special brother in the Lord or a wayward prodigal who returns home.
And the father every day is pacing back and forth, waiting far distant horizon to see if his son might be coming down the lane, waiting for him possibly to come home. And then one day, the tremendous event happens. The son begins to make his way home from the far-off country. And what does the father do? I'll tell you what he does. Come here, don't stand apart from me.
Dad, I'm really sorry that I squandered all your money.
Money's nothing. Money's nothing.
You're home. And I just wanted to know if you'd like to hire me back as a servant.
No, don't even talk about that. We're not going to talk about that at all. No. I've been waiting for you. I've got things for you. I've got a ring to put on your finger. I've got a fatted calf I'm going to kill. And wait till you see this. Your mother doesn't know this.
Made my day. This is great. Well, this week was eventful in another respect, that somebody stole our 1977 church Dodge van.
Our what is missing?
Did you say van?
But how could you lose something so large?
Why anyone would want to steal a 77 Dodge van that's brown and cream was beyond me. I'd like you to keep a lookout if you see it around town. We'd like it back. So although it's not worth much, it's going to cost us money to replace it. Oddly, the day it was stolen, I saw a guy driving it. I didn't know at the time it was stolen. And I thought to myself, who is that? I don't know who that is. Must be a mechanic. Somebody's working on it, and I let it go. It's one of those days. Yeah, Wayne's telling me everything's stolen. Church in Northern California stole our youth pastor, the district stole our pastor, and now somebody stole our van, you know. We are glad to report that we learned this afternoon that the Dodge van has been discovered by the police department and is now impounding. In impoundment, I guess, waiting for us to pick it up. I don't know what the process is. So if next week you see a 77 Dodge van being driven around town, please do not call the police. It is an MSMC. You know, now we're in trouble. We've got how many hundred people going to turn in this stolen van next week? And a lot of people that were here this morning aren't here tonight, and this is going to be an interesting week with all the police calls. I myself do not plan on driving that van this week. I think it would be unbecoming in the newspapers for the pastor of this church to be arrested for stolen property. So anyway, just to let you know that good report.
Our records show that Newport Mesa has even had a fleeting involvement with a killing carried out by our associate pastor, Wayne Tesh.
Well, that's enough. What can I say? I thought it was interesting to me. You know, I thought it was. It didn't go over too well in the other services either.
I thought you were going to give us a spiritual admonition, Wayne, to go kill a gopher.
Yeah. I remember I did that once over on 15th and Monrovia Street, and I had my golf club because I was after this gopher, and I looked up, and across the street there were 15 people in this beautiful building, and they tapped on the window, and I looked up, and they had a sign that says, "Thou shalt not kill." Yeah, some of those things that happen. Well, listen, get acquainted with people around about you.
Well, George, 1982, shortly before our new buildings were completed, we joined all three services for a gala July 4th service in the SEC Gymnasium. Pictures of family and friends we'll never forget. Moments permanently etched in our memories. Memories of laughter and love, healing and heartache, times of family and fellowship, testimony and tears, prayer and hope. Again today we join together in a single service, but this time to mark the closing of a season of 17 faithful years of service by you here at Newport Mesa Christian Center. In these 17 years, we've certainly experienced much together as pastor and congregation. We want you to know that we love you, and though we are saddened to see you leave, we rejoice with you for the new season that God is beginning in your lives. Some time ago, you shared a vision you had for this church, that though we were, at the time, a small leafless tree weeping at the side of the boulevard, one day those tears would water the tree's roots, and we would be full of leaves, ready to offer shade to any in need passing by.
So will you also rejoice with us? For as you go on to fulfill that which God has called you to do, we also are ready to do the same.
For the Church of Jesus Christ must go on.